we're back.
I'm DJ Kyber.
Yeah, I'm still mad at you from last time, by the way.
I finished. You finished.
You finished it now, but you didn't finish it before we recorded, and then you didn't tell me you didn't finish until we were recording.
No, I told you beforehand. It was
Nah, that's right. It was Lucy. You said you
Yeah.
still left before I made you quesadillas. Because I worked hard to get all the ingredients for those quesadillas. Because you're vegetarian, and I respect that. And I learned vegetarian recipes to cook for you and Lucy. And then you didn't stay for dinner, and it hurt my feelings.
I had to work.
You know what? Work can wait. I was making quesadillas.
I was making pizzas for a bunch of people. Hey everyone, now you know my job. Yeah. DJ Kyber works at a pizza place. I won't tell you which one. You'll have to guess. Is it Domino's? Is it Pizza Hut? Is it Papa John's? Is it what's another one? Donato's? Hungry Howie's? Or is it a local pizza joint like Luna's?
I've never been to Luna's. There's a Luna's diner around here before.
Yeah. No, it's Luca's then. There's this. So there is this giant car dealership that is like off of this one small street. You go there and then you see this like little shack. It's almost like just the size of a tool shed, it looks like. And there's a sign on the side that says, Luca's, authentic New York pizza. And they actually have some pretty good pizza and calzones.
You know what, though? The best pizza I ever had, it was at this little, basically was some dude's house. We found it by accident. We were driving back up from Columbus, my girlfriend and I. We went to OhioCon, we were driving back, we were starving, and we just found this one little off-the-path pizza place. It was called Kilborn's. It was just some old Polish guy basically just running a pizza shop out of his house, and it's the best pizza on the goddamn planet.
I gotta keep an eye out for that Kilborn's, huh?
Kilborn's, yeah. And it was delicious because his sauce was so thick, he just needed a spatula and flop it on there, and he just put on, I think it was a literal pound of cheese per pizza. Nice. He'll weigh it out, and he had all these crazy fresh ingredients, and he just talks about how he's traveled everywhere, and it's fun, but people are kind of shit everywhere. And we asked him, and somehow he mentioned that he was a realtor. He says he just opened the pizza place just for the fuck of it. He's not worried about profits. He's not worried about marketing. Or he's just fuck it. He wants to make pizza for people.
So my brother, when he was living in Buffalo, he found he needed a haircut, so he looked up barbershops in the phone book. Yeah, I know. People still use Yellow Pages.
He's the one person who's still using the Yellow Pages.
Yeah. So he found one that seemed pretty good, and he just drove. He started driving there, and then he realized he was pulling into this development, and so then he just saw where the address was, and it was just some guy's house. So he pulled in, knocked on the door, and it was this little Italian guy. He said, "Hi, I'm looking for some place that cuts hair." And he's like, "Oh yes, come in." And he's like, "Wait, this is a place?" And then he walks in, and in the guy's living room is just this stool to cut hair, and
just a stool and some newspaper laid around it to remove the hair.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know how the whole thing was set up. He just told me there's a stool to cut the hair, and then my brother is just starts explaining. Okay, so I want my hair, and then the Italian guy was like, "No, I know what you want. I know what you want."
You don't know what you want. I know what you want.
And and so he just started cutting the guy's hair, my brother's hair. Sorry, look, he started cutting my brother's hair, and then all of a sudden he said, "Are you hungry? My wife will make a ham sandwich for you." and he was like, "Oh, sure." He's and so he started speaking to his wife in Italian, and she came over with a ham sandwich, and he was just eating this ham sandwich while getting his hair cut, and then when the guy was finished, it was pretty much what my brother wanted. And so my brother just kept going there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love little, just back, middle of nowhere places. And that's where I get my hair cut. It's just this one like old-fashioned barber shop somewhere out in Streetsboro.
Oh,
Because my grandfather goes there, and then he started taking me there when I was like 15, and I've been getting my hair cut there for about a decade.
Oh, nice.
Just this one, he's the one guy I trust with my hair. It's just this one guy. And it's like, he's got like the old-fashioned like barber pole and everything.
Oh, jeez. Okay, you'll have to tell me where that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I like where I get my hair cut. It's just...
You don't get yours cut at the house with the Italian guy?
That's in Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
No, my favorite place that I got my hair cut was in Orlando, Florida. I know we're like we haven't even announced our topic yet, but my favorite place I got my hair cut. This is a funny story. I was working at Disney and I needed to get my hair cut soon, and people kept telling me all these different places you can get your hair cut. Like, you can get your hair cut in Epcot in like backstage, but you shouldn't because they're not really hair cutters, they're hair butchers. Or you can get it cut in Best Buy, or you can... There's another place called
Wait, Best Buy?
Yeah, Best Buy had like this salon. And
what?
Yeah, it was just like typical, salon chain thing. It was like a
Like it was a salon close to the Best Buy, or it was just like inside of a Best Buy?
Inside of a Best Buy where, they had the McDonald's and Subways and stuff. Or no, not Best Buy, it was Walmart.
Okay, Walmart makes sense.
A Walmart.
Walmart makes sense.
Sorry. But so yeah, it was a Walmart, and then there was this other place called like Sports Clips or something like that. And so I went over to where Walmart was, and I didn't know it was actually inside the store until much later on. And I just found this one place that I thought was what people were talking about. It was called like... I wish I could remember the name. It was called like Strings or something. I can't quite remember. And I walk in, and there's all these black women there, cutting hair. And, like, the guy that was holding the door open for me, he was, had his, daughter getting her hair cut. And, he sort of, like, wanted to, told her, like, oh, hang on, make room for him, because he thought I was passing by. But then I just walked in, and he was like, oh. Because I'm not the I wasn't their typical customer. And so I walked in there and I was thinking, okay, I'm not their type of customer. This is going to be really awkward, but I really need my hair cut. So I'm just going to do this, and then I'm going to look for a new place next month or wherever, because my hair doesn't grow that fast. And then I got my hair cut, and it was the most relaxed I had ever been. I gave him like a $20 tip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it was just that good.
Well, I remember up until I got to like middle school, haircuts weren't really a thing I needed to worry about because my stepdad used to just take me to barbershops and just, or whatever chain barbershop he could, and just, he just tell them to shave my head.
Jeez. Shave your head.
Yeah, basically just get it down to like just stubble. And he wouldn't let me leave until he was satisfied with how short it was.
I'm trying to imagine you with, like, a buzz cut.
There are pictures, man. Me, like, missing teeth, head shaved.
Well, so, did you... You didn't stick with that, obviously.
No, I let it grow out.
Yeah, when did that stop happening?
The divorce.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then your grandpa started taking you to a barbershop.
Because at that point I was like, yes, I have hair now. I can do things.
Yeah. So, anyway. Our topic is...
welcome to Ed Wood Month.
Yes, Ed Wood Month. There we go. Started off with talking about our haircuts.
Yes. Was Ed Wood big into haircuts?
He was into wearing wigs.
Yeah, there's that. So there we go. It's all topical.
So
we did the thing where we just kind of fell down the rabbit hole. Evidently I own a copy of Ed Wood that I never knew existed.
Yeah?
I do. I guess the DVD fairy just brought it for me.
Oh.
But she took my copy of Clone Wars Volume 1, so we're just going to call it even. And of course from that, we've got Bela Lugosi in there. or at least a guy playing Bela Lugosi. So we tracked down Dracula, which will be our second film, and then now I've got on reserve at the library the Ed Wood collection, Salute to Incompetence.
So,
which will have some more films, which we'll probably make up our next episode.
Yeah, I heard of Plan 9 from Outer Space a long time ago, that it was the worst movie of all time. So my initial thoughts were, okay, avoid this thing like the plague. But then my dad was like, oh no, it's good. It's just bad. Like, it was hard to explain. It was so bad it's good, essentially.
And that's what led you down the dark path that took you here.
Exactly.
See, Plan 9's always going to have a special place in my heart, because that's my first podcast I ever did on Talk About Rhythm over with El Goro.
Yeah.
And because the film's public domain now. Once you get picked up at the library, lost it, and had to pay for it, and then found it again like a year later. So it took me a year and $10 to not watch Plan 9 until the podcast.
So, do you know if El Goro is aware of the remake?
Oh, he has to be. There's no way he's not aware of the remake.
So, for those of you who don't know, Plan 9 from Outer Space is being remade into a serious, well, they're trying to make it into a serious horror movie.
Let's say straight-faced.
Yes, straight-faced horror movie called Plan 9. So far, it's only been released in Australia. They finished the movie and everything. But it has not been released in the States yet. Or anywhere outside of PAL. Whatever that stands
The PAL
for.
regions?
Yeah, PAL
I
regions.
just said PAL regions.
Yeah, so it's the trailer looks like it could go either way. It could be like a neat little cult following flick, or it could just be like Asylum level of bad.
Oh, Asylum. We still need to do the Asylum films we've got.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, hopefully our listeners are aware of Asylum films, but
They're listening to us. Of course they're aware of Asylum.
Okay. Yeah, we probably don't need to explain, like, Alien versus Hunter, or
how their entire business model is just tricking someone's grandma into buying the wrong thing at Christmas.
Yeah.
Because they just make some big thing comes out, like they announce like the new Transformers movie, and they're like, well, that's a thing. We're gonna give a guy $1,000, a camera, and a weekend. And they're gonna come back with Transmorphers, and we're gonna beat it to the fucking shelf.
Yeah.
Not to theaters, but straight to DVD, where all the best movies go.
And there was actually one sort of mockbuster that was like, it's hard to explain. It was playing off of Avatar, but it wasn't actually supposed to be Avatar. It was John Carter, or Warlord of Mars is what. No, it was called Princess of Mars. That's it.
Princess of Mars?
Yeah, Princess of Mars. And the tagline was the story that inspired Avatar. And it came out like 2 or 3 years before John Carter. And I think that probably would have been the much better fit for it.
Well, I think John Carter is in the public domain now.
Yeah.
Because Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote those about 100 years ago. Because I was blown away. The same guy gave us John Carter, Flash Gordon, and Tarzan.
It was 100 years ago, because that's what the release of the movie, John Carter was celebrating.
Yeah, so I think after 100 years, probably in the public domain, unless Disney did some of their evil lawyering.
After all the money they lost, they probably I'm sure they would have had to sell it or something in order to get back the little bit of money they could have scavenged. I don't know. I think it's kind of disappointing that movie didn't do so well, because I haven't seen it yet, but I would have loved to have seen more Planet and Sword sort of adventure, sci-fi, fantasy stuff. It's I don't know. I'm a big fan of that sort of thing. I just want to read the story before I actually watched the movie.
Right, and that came at a time when I was in college, and I was working 3 jobs and 18 credit hours. So realistically, I was, between school and work, I was working about 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
So at that point,
no
making
time
it
for
out,
movies.
yeah, making it out to the theater was not a particularly high priority at that point in my life.
Right.
I wanted to see it though, because I was into that. Because I read a couple of the short stories.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not bad. Yeah, because I found a couple of those and I read them and I liked them. I think they're still free if you have a Kindle or a smartphone. You can download them on the Kindle app for free because they're all public domain.
I don't have either of those.
Ah.
But, yeah, going back to the sci-fi thing, Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space is like the legendary so bad it's good type of thing. That's probably that might be the first movie that was like that I can think of. It's at least the earliest.
I think it might just be the most memorable because I'm sure there have to have been equally terrible films coming out of that time period.
Yeah, true.
At least just at all. I think what made Plan 9 stick is that it was just so damn earnest.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about the movie Ed Wood, which was by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp.
Obviously, it's
Yeah.
Tim Burton starring Johnny Depp. I think he actually, I think Tim Burton himself actually declined to get paid for the film.
Really?
Yeah, because I was watching this with my wife and we were looking it up on IMDb. Yeah, it was just a passion project for Tim Burton, and the theater was or the production studio was kind of iffy on it, and so he just told them he'll just not get paid for it. They can just keep whatever amount they would have paid him to make it, because he just wanted to do it as a passion project.
Well, that's kind of noble. But I did hear that there were a couple things that the film got, made up, essentially. For starters, Bela Lugosi allegedly never, ever swore, especially in front of women.
Really?
Yeah. He was not as foul-mouthed as he is in the movie. And, let's see, Ed Wood and Orson Welles never met, but that was...
Yeah, I was
one of
pretty
my
sure that
favorites.
was contrived as hell.
That is one of my favorite scenes, though, in that movie. It's two iconic directors from both sides of the spectrum. Really good and really bad.
Well, I loved it because it was a really bad dub job in that scene. Because they had some guy who looked like Orson Welles, but then they got the guy who was the voice of the Brain from Pinky and the Brain.
Maurice LaMarche?
Maurice LaMarche, yeah, he said the lines, and then they just dubbed it over that guy, because he's pretty much like the go-to Orwell impersonator.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's that, and then he was George Orwell in a couple of skits on The Critic, if you've ever seen The Critic.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always him who's George Orwell on there. And then there was actually an entire episode of Pinky and the Brain where he just goes in to just do voiceovers, and it's almost line for line these outtakes with Wells while he was recording a commercial. He swore like a motherfucker, so they had to edit some of that out. But yeah, it's almost entirely just the transcript from Orwell being a dick to the people he's recording with, and then it's just coming out of a cartoon mouse.
Wow. Oh, wait, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize it was supposed to be Orson Welles.
Yeah, he was supposed to be Orson Welles.
But I do remember the parts from The Critic where he's like, I'm a director, a thespian. I'm much better than this. Then he comes back 5 seconds later and says, oh, what the hell, I need the money.
Rosebud frozen peas.
Oh, jeez.
I still need to watch Citizen Kane. I got that from the library. I sat on it.
I also have not seen it, and it's been hyped up as hell, so...
Well, I know it's hyped, but I know nothing else about it. So how about once we finish Ed Wood, we'll do Ed Wood, we've got Dracula, and then we'll go get those other DVDs. Next show we do together, after that, we'll do Citizen Kane.
Sounds like a plan.
There we go. We'll go from, we'll kind of bounce back.
Yeah.
After all these terrible, terrible films.
The best and the worst.
Now,
Bela Lugosi, Dracula.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi was Dracula. We'll stay on Ed Wood for a little bit, because I think we're getting a little bit off topic. Johnny Depp just nails it.
Oh, yeah. He does. He's just, so endearing.
He is. He's so positive about the whole thing. And it kind of reminds you, Johnny Depp can act.
Yeah.
Because I know it's easy to forget, like, when you're watching the Pirates movies or whatever, because it's like, well, Johnny Depp in a funny hat is getting us all this money. Let's just keep putting Johnny Depp in a funny hat.
And having him do his Keith Richards.
Let's put him in a hat and have him do Keith Richards. No, it'll make fucking bank, and that's why the last Pirates movie sucked.
I still have not seen the fourth one. I felt it should have just remained a trilogy.
You know what, if they could have cut it down to like 15, 20 minutes and just like made it as a short, it would have worked. Because the thing is, the reason Captain Jack got to do all of his dumb Captain Jack stuff is because all the other characters were actually like the center of the plot, and he was just kind of like the desserts. Here's all the support things, and then here's this extra stuff coming in with that. I'm gonna close this window before it's gonna mess with the mic. We'll stop him for nothing. There we go. Yeah, so everyone else was doing the heavy lifting for the actual plot, so Depp just got to Keith Richards it up, and then everyone's like, yeah, he was the best part, and then they gave him his own movie, and it was fucking terrible.
Yeah, like, I know Orlando Bloom, or at least I heard Orlando Bloom wasn't in it, and I don't know if Jeffrey Rush was in it.
Jeffrey Rush is it.
Okay. So that, and I thought, like, Orlando Bloom's character, Will
Turner.
Will Turner. Yeah, Will Turner and
Keira Knightley?
Yeah, Keira Knightley's character. Who I just forgot as well. Wow, I'm really...
There's Elizabeth Swann.
Yeah, I felt that the two of them were, like, really important to the whole thing, but I guess not, according to Disney. I mean, I really think trilogies are the most solid you can make a movie series if you're going to make a movie series.
You know what, though? I'm sure it made them their money back, if nothing else. Because movie studios don't look at whether or not people liked it. They look at what the box office return was.
Yeah, true. But, yeah, so Johnny Depp is a fantastic actor, and that's probably the most positive role I've seen him in. Everything else, he's either, like, very quirky or very sad.
He's still pretty quirky in this, though.
Oh, very quirky. He's just also very happy.
Yeah,
just the quirky...
Getting back to Ed Wood.
Yeah, the quirky ones were just, like Captain Jack Sparrow. He wasn't positive or, like, super happy about everything. He was just quirky.
He's nutty!
Yeah, as Harry Partridge says. So, but, for example, one of my favorite quotes from it was, what'd you think of the movie? That bad, huh? Well, my next one will be better. Hello?
Oh, God, he does not stay down. Because, he's pretty much given nothing but crap. Because on the beginning of the movie, he goes to try and get the script for this film about a transsexual.
That's right.
And then when he's trying to get a bid for it, he's talking to the producer. He says, like, well, I'm going to let you in on a secret. I like to dress up in women's clothing.
Oh, jeez. That, I feel like if he were around today, he'd be given much more... He'd have, like, almost a cult of personality.
Probably. You know what? If Ed Wood had been around in the internet days, he would have been fine.
Yeah. He would have... He probably would have been... actually pretty rich.
Well, at that point, if you wanted to make a movie, you basically needed a production studio behind you, because cameras were expensive, film was expensive, you had to develop it, you had to get it edited, you couldn't just go make a film. You needed tons and tons of resources to do it. And so, in order to pursue his passion, he basically had to keep catering to whatever these studios wanted, and then just failing spectacularly.
So, yeah. I didn't know how the film industry worked back then, but yeah, I mean, now I know. But still, I kind of got the gist of that from Ed Wood. It's just...
Well, I don't. For me, like, the big thing was he wanted him to shoot the thing in was it a weekend? He wanted it shot.
Yeah,
something like somewhere between 2 to 5 days was about as long as he had to shoot anything. And I'm just thinking, anytime you get a big movie announced, you're getting it announced 2 years before it hits the screen.
Right.
And then it's just spent so much time in production and everything else. It's like, nope, have it ready for us by the weekend.
And so they obviously had to cut corners. There's
hiring Ed Wood.
Yeah. What was it? The something involving baptism. I'm trying to remember why they needed the church.
Towards the end of the film, like right when we get to the point where they're talking about how he made Plan 9, his landlord was a prominent member at a church. And the church had raised some money, and they wanted to do a film series about the 12 apostles. They're very, 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 like, old school. They wanted to do 12 films, one for each apostle. But they only had the money for one film. And Ed Wood caught wind of this. He says, well, let's make you one film that'll make you enough money to finance the others. And then that's when he pitched Plan 9. But in order to get the money from the church wanted them to all be baptized. And at this point, Tor was part of his posse. If you've ever seen Plan 9, Tor's he's basically like Andre the Giant big.
Yeah.
He's just a wall of just fucking muscle.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was like, what, like 7 to say? Like, you know what, I don't have the internet.
Scandinavian.
Yeah, just this huge dude. And so they had to get him baptized in a swimming pool because he wasn't big enough in the little, like, for the baptism, like, tub that they had in the church, so they all had to go out into a swimming pool.
That's right, yeah. And, that guy also his accent was so thick that it was impossible to understand in the real movie. And,
that's why they took away all of his lines. He had, like, 2 lines in the whole movie.
Yeah, and it was incomprehensible. So, yeah, then he just became a zombie.
Uh-huh.
Well,
it worked out, right? I mean, they had Bela Lugosi in the film, so...
They had Bela Lugosi in part of the film, and then he died, and they got the hairdresser to be...
I want to say it was a dentist.
Was it a dentist?
Yeah, it was a dentist. Yeah, they just had him always walk around with a cape in front of his face.
Yeah, because he was about the same height as Bela Lugosi, but his face was completely different. So
the eyes were the same. The eyes were similar enough that they're like, yeah, fuck it, even Bela Lugosi. Even getting back to Bela at this point, Ed Wood is just a film nerd, and so of course he was over the moon when he met Bela Lugosi, but. And he always tries to, sell him, and because Lugosi kept being in his films because, no one else was going to hire him because he was a dick and just a morphine addict.
Yeah, that's right.
So no one else would hire him, and so he's just like, look, film producers, I got Bela Lugosi. And just like, who? What? I thought he was dead. I think that was a running gag in the film. No, he's not dead.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a running gag. And then Vampirella. He also got Vampirella.
Or was it Vampira?
Oh, yeah, maybe that was it. Vampira.
Vampira.
The other Elvira.
She actually unsuccessfully sued Elvira for stealing her act.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
You can't have, like, more than one big-boobed, sexy vampire undead chick hosting horror movies.
Yeah, like, it's pretty blatant ripoff. Like, there's really no way to defend that.
No? Yeah. Well, I was gonna try. I mean... well, okay, I guess the other way you could do it is Tales of the Crypt. You got the creepy dude hosting horror shorts and stuff. But, yeah, okay. I guess Elvira did rip that off, but she had bigger boobs.
She did have bigger boobs.
And that's what she does now. She talks about how big her cleavage is.
Is Elvira still doing stuff? Or is she pretty much
retired? VH1's Remember the 80s.
Okay, so basically, like, that's pretty much like the career retirement home is just talking about shit on VH1.
Exactly.
And, like, it used to be infomercials, and now it's VH1.
Yeah.
And sometimes Robot Chicken.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Robot Chicken has, like, cameo appearances of all the parodies it makes. All
the parodies. Of all the 80s stuff, nobody but Seth Green cares about anymore.
Seth Green and Seth MacFarlane, both.
Seth Green, I feel like Seth Green would have gotten along with Ed Wood.
I feel like that, too.
Just like, yeah, I like all this dumb pop culture stuff. I want to get a bunch of action figures and just take it and just animate using that.
Yeah, can you voice some of these guys? How good are you at voice acting? You know what, screw it. We'll use you anyways. What are some impressions you can do? It doesn't matter if they're good or not.
Yeah. What a twist. Well, anymore, it's just, now Robot Chicken's actually gotten big enough where they can just get the people they're parodying.
Right, exactly.
Like they got Stan Lee, but Stan Lee's just a whore, so he'll do anything.
Exactly.
I love you, Stan Lee,
Please.
but you'll do anything. We know you'll do anything at this point.
Yeah, you will. You, let's see, you are your own character in the new Marvel animated universe, and you were in those, little YouTube shorts. Even the DC ones.
Yeah, he shows up in the DC shorts, too.
Where he shows up and says, "Oops, wrong comic. Excelsior."
I feel like he's just got, like, this sixth sense where he knows anyone's doing something comic-related and he just appears. Yeah. It's like Bloody Mary in the Mirror, except you just summon Stan Lee.
Stanley.
We could, you know,
Excelsior.
You know, if we just say Excelsior in a mirror 3 times, I'm sure we can get him on the podcast.
Let's try that sometime. Anyways, going back to Ed Wood. Now, what else can we say about this? Bill Murray was
Bill Murray.
Amazing.
Well, Bill Murray played a character who was like a legit transsexual in the 50s.
Yeah, that's right.
And I know Ian talked about this character. Basically, what I guess she went on to do is kind of form this like support group / underground railroad for transsexuals.
Oh wow!
I would look this up, but my internet's out because a tree fell on the line.
Oh,
yeah.
Was that from the storm last night?
No, it's been knocked out since Friday. And when we called to get it to report that a tree fell on the line, we're like, "Well, is your router plugged in?" No, a tree fell on the line. Well, did you try restarting it? No, it's a tree. We saw it. A tree fell on. Well, did you try rebooting it?
It might be some other problem.
I saw it. The tree destroyed the line. Just get someone out to fix the line.
Okay, so here's what you need to do. Restart your computer, maybe try unplugging your router and plugging it back in again after 10 seconds, and then see what goes from there.
Yeah, 45 minutes to report a tree being down. Because they kept trying to troubleshoot it. And I felt so bad, because I'm sure that who's ever on the poor tech support bastard who's on the other line, I'm sure they've had to talk to people who will call in, scream about how their router doesn't work when it just came unplugged, or just came unplugged, or they didn't turn it on. And then, of course, I'm sure they've got a script from corporate who's like, these are the things you have to say. If you don't say those, you lose your job. Because I've worked in call centers. And they're very, very strict. Like, you stay to the script, or you're done. Which they act like it's a punishment, but it's a call center, so...
Right. I actually have a friend that works at one that's, like, for Comcast or something. He's hired... The people he works for work for Comcast. And he told me one of the things that happened was, I believe this woman said she deleted Google Chrome or something. Oh, wait, no. She couldn't access her internet. And, she couldn't access her email, Gmail. And he said, oh, okay, let's try these different problems. Turns out she was using Internet Explorer. That is an affront to nature.
Well, it's dead now. So
that's why it wasn't working. He said, okay, you want to use Google Chrome. And she was like, I don't like Google Chrome. Something like that. I can't remember. It was, but essentially all she needed to do was just install Google Chrome and it would work. But she didn't want to do that.
Well, I know I do a bunch of odd jobs around my own neighborhood. I've been doing it since I was a teenager, and now just the people who I worked for, they've become pretty dependent on me, so I can't quit. My old neighbor calls me up and she says she's having trouble with her computer, and I realize she's running everything out of Internet Explorer.
Oh, jeez. Oh, there's your first problem.
Well, yeah, that's why I was like, oh, because she's very sweet. She just wasn't very tech literate, and so I got I set her up with either Firefox or Google Chrome, and she was just amazed by how much better it worked. Yeah. As opposed to like my dad. Oh my god, the tech stories I could tell from my dad. So I had to help him move because he got evicted a couple months ago.
Oh wait, I think you told me.
Yeah, he got evicted from a place that I think he technically owned.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how bad he was. How bad of a tenant my father is. And so I'm helping him move, and he says, "Well, should I bring my computer, son?" Yeah, of course we need a computer. It's 8 years old. It doesn't turn on anymore. Okay, then leave it. Well, I had all my divorce paperwork on there. So much for your technology now, son. Where's it gotten me? Like, okay, so you didn't like have a disk backup or like make a hard copy. I know you had a printer. I installed your printer. I know you have one. He just keeps throwing a fit about how it won't work because the man's got enough porn to embarrass the Marquis de Sade.
Jesus.
Yeah, like at one point I had to clear off his computer, and a friend of mine even helped me. He had gigabytes of cookies. I'm not files, cookies.
Oh God.
From the websites. And so yeah, of course his computer is into the fucking ground. So he keeps yelling at me how the computer will work. I told him I've got too much to do to deal with this. Take it to any tech place. Tell him you don't want it fixed. You just want the hard drive recovered. Just go get yourself like a large flash drive and have him put it on that. You'll have a backup. You guys right? Can they recover my porn too, son? Yes, I'm sure they can recover your porn.
So does he actually talk like that? Like, what is that Atlantic accent?
It's not like an accent, it's just the way he talks. He's never referred to me by name. No, I'm his son. God damn it, son.
So did he actually do that? And could they recover the porn?
I don't know. I do not know whether or not the porn was recovered.
But everything else was?
I have no idea. We don't talk often. I remember at one point I took him to the doctors and he was asking, well, he got like a BlackBerry.
Okay.
Not a smartphone, but like a BlackBerry. And he was asking, well, what do you use to download videos? I told him, well, I usually use stream videos. I know a couple of like third-party programs that let you download them. Like, are you sending them as a file attachment? But if you're just like doing YouTube, you're just gonna want to stream them. No, I want to download them. Well, and also, one important thing to note: he got his internet canceled, so now he just streams everything from the 4G in his phone. So I actually had to take him to Best Buy to buy an HDMI cable so he could stream his porn to his television from his phone. That was his plan. That was his plan. So anyway, I'm driving him around, and he says he wants to download videos. I told him like you're on 4G, you got your internet canceled. Just go to somewhere with Wi-Fi, and you can just stream it. He says, well, why do I need Wi-Fi, son? I've got Google and Yahoo.
So there's a point where you have to say, okay, this is too much porn. I am addicted to porn. I don't know.
That sweet YouTube porn.
That doesn't exist. Trust me, I've tried.
We've all tried. We've all been there.
There have been some videos that manage to slip through the cracks, but they always get deleted like 3 days later.
We've all been there. We've all been in high school and been like, well, what if I just do this? And I'm savvy enough I can get around these blocks.
And
at home, parental blocks, not at the school.
Right. So, yeah, no, I've done that before. In fact, that's why my YouTube profile is like 4 years older than I am.
Well, nobody told the truth on their YouTube profile except for me. I did.
Yeah, this video is too sensitive for you.
Just log in so we can track your filth. I feel like that's more than anything. It's less, well, we want to make sure you're age appropriate, more like, we just want to make sure we have a login for you so we can blackmail you with your filth later.
Yeesh.
We want to track you, because you know they save all that stuff, right?
I did not know that.
Oh no, like Google has like a file on everybody. You didn't know they save it?
YouTube?
Well,
Google.
Yeah, Google
owns
YouTube.
They own, yeah.
Yeah, they bought it like a decade ago.
I almost forgot.
Yeah.
They're so...
They don't even try to hide it. They're like, yeah, we got a profile for everybody.
Jesus. Well, I'll keep that in mind. I hope...
You gotta go erase some things now. It's okay, they already have it.
I remember watching Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson tried going completely off the grid because he found out about cookies.
Right.
So he decided to erase any trace of his existence from anywhere. There was a picture of him on a wall at a diner.
On a wall of a diner because he ate the most bacon and eggs ever.
Yes, and he talked about like how why is everyone so bad at eating? And it was just a picture of him, and it said, man.
You know what, though?
That's too
If there is like a definitive man, it's Ron Swanson.
Exactly.
I may not always agree with him, but god damn it, do I respect him.
Same here. So, we gotten off topic again.
I wonder what Ed Wood's browser history would look like.
It would look like Orson Welles. Orson Welles' films. Orson Welles' acting. Orson Welles' directing tips. I don't know.
And then that would have just kind of spiraled down to like weird porn parodies of Citizen Kane.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what his career would have ended up looking like had it gone down the tubes.
Like you think Orson Welles actually would have like been in the porn parody of Citizen Kane?
You know what? I'm sure he would have. He would have been like, no one else can do this role.
He's not an attractive man. Then again, most guys in porn aren't, so...
Yeah, it's because it's not about the way they look above the belt.
Yeah. I mean, look at Ron Jeremy.
Exactly.
He actually did a Mario porn parody.
I remember
the Super Hornio Brothers, which Nintendo now owns.
Seriously.
Well, no, they bought the rights to it because they didn't want it getting out.
And now everyone is just aware that this exists.
It's just kind of like this weird cult
Nintendo
thing, yeah.
it.
Well, no, it's like it makes sense for Nintendo because legally they can't stop them from making it,
right?
Because it falls under fair use. It falls under parody,
right?
Dicks or no, it falls under parody.
Right.
So Nintendo realized they couldn't sue them, so they just bought it to make sure it never saw the light of day again.
The guy that directed that, though, he has done quite a few. Found out about this from the Cinema Snob, but he has done quite a few porn parodies, like Beavis and Butthole or something like that.
Yeah, it writes itself.
Beavers and Butthole.
Beavers and Butthole.
I think that was what it was, and I think there was actually a Super Hornio Brothers too.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Well, I figured, like, anyone doing any one of those, they gotta do a lot of them, because it's... These are not, like, auteur films. These are, hey, it's basically the Ed Wood film model of, here's a thing, like, hammer out, like, a vague script, and you shoot over the weekend.
Yeah.
Here's $50 for props. Then it just... I think it's a matter of this... It's film as product, not film as art. It's how many of these can we just get out there? Because it doesn't matter if they don't make a ton of money, because they cost next to nothing to film.
And that's actually how it's still going today. I heard Michael Bay actually hates Transformers.
Oh, he does. Like, he wants to be done with it, but Universal said it's printing him money.
Yeah.
So what they did with Michael Bay is he had a couple of passion projects he wanted to do, like Pain and Gain.
Which I heard was actually pretty good.
Which I also heard was actually pretty good. Like, he had stuff like that he wants to do, and so Universal said, alright, we'll give you the money to do these films, but you have to keep giving us Transformers because it's printing them money.
Right.
Even though, like, Transformers is one of those things where I don't know anybody who doesn't hate it, but it's still ungodly popular.
I know, actually. So, I'm not a fan of the movies, but I know what I'm getting into when I see them. It's just like, I'm gonna go in there, order some popcorn, and watch it. That's it.
I refuse to let anyone else see the films, because I remember once, back when I was in, I think it was like late high school, late college, whenever the second one came out, and I took a friend to go see it, because we saw the first one together, and the film, Revenge of the Fallen, Transformers 2, was so bad, I gave him back his money from the film on the parking lot. I took out my wallet, I said, the ticket was $8, here is your money back, that is how bad I feel for you, because you watched this film with me. And I swore to never put anyone in the line of fire for another Transformers film again.
That was the one where we got to see John Turturro's ass in a G-string, right?
Yeah, we saw John Turturro's ass in a G-string, and he was talking about Devastator's testicles.
Yes, okay, I remember that now. That was definitely the worst.
How do you Okay, here's Devastator. There's a bunch of construction things that turn into robots. A bunch of construction vehicles that turn into robots that combine to make a giant fucking robot. How do you mess that up?
By adding balls.
Then he found a way. He found a way to fuck up. Because Transformers, Transformers is like my go-to fandom. I love Transformers for literally as far back as I can remember, because my dad, porn hound though he may be, he would watch Transformers in college. And so whenever I go to stay with him for the weekend, like we'd walk down to like the local like grocery store, and they had a little like janky ass video rental section, and we would rent episodes of Transformers on VHS tape.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, so I would always want to watch the Transformers films. So I love Transformers, and as an adult, I can say there's nothing much to Transformers. They were created to sell toys. They're very blatantly created to sell toys. G1, we got a couple of good episodes, but a lot of them are just 80s cheese. This is not a franchise built upon artistic integrity and big ideas. We've gotten some good stuff out of it, but it's not this high. It's not like It's not like they remade Citizen Kane with robot testicles.
Right. Yeah.
But it still deserves better. I think I've talked about this on the show before, and I'll digress just a little bit more, and then we'll get back. I think we've said just about everything we want to say about Ed Wood. But my biggest problem with the Transformers films from Michael Bay is that I cannot in good conscience take a child to see them.
Same here, actually. I mean, I would actually be like, there's a few Quentin Tarantino movies I would think, you know what? If you take out like maybe one or two scenes, this could be something a kid could watch.
Uh-huh.
Like, even Quentin Tarantino said, like, kids could watch Kill Bill, because he grew up on that stuff, and he turned out just fine. Yeah.
Foot fetish and all, he turned out just fine.
Exactly.
Watching violent movies doesn't make you violent, it just makes you really into feet.
And, hey, there's worse things. You could end up being a furry. I don't know.
Oh, don't be nice to the furries.
Okay. You could end up being something worse. I don't know. There's something bad.
Like so long as whatever you're into is consensual, then go for it.
Yeah.
We're very laid back about these sorts of things around here.
Yeah. So, and like I thought I would ask my dad about this. Like, do you think Kill Bill would be something a kid could watch? And my dad was like, yeah, if you take out that animated part, ironically, the cartoon is the adult part because of the pedophilia implications. And, well, not even implications. They outright said that one Japanese Yakuza boss was a pedophile. And and that's why she was, like, in her underwear, standing on him with a sword in his stomach. That was, but everything else, like, you take out that part, it would
as long as you watch it with the kid. And things like that violence is so over the top. I feel like no kid's gonna look at that and think of it as real. It's like Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's so over the fucking top, it's cartoonish.
Yeah, and people will still complain about how violent it is. Yeah, or at least they did back in the 90s. Yeah, I mean, my first R-rated movie, well, the first R-rated movie I watched with my dad was Alien. And that was probably I think I was like 12 or 13, and I loved it. It's still one of my favorite all-time horror movies.
So anyway, back to Ed Wood.
Yes. Sorry.
Would you recommend Ed Wood?
Oh, definitely. Oh my god. Yes, I think it's one of the best Tim Burton movies of all time.
Well, it's you can feel Tim Burton's hand in it, but it's not overdone. It's not like Alice in Wonderland, or it's like the Alice in Wonderland remake he did, or because I like Tim Burton, but he always just kind of slathers Tim Burton all over everything. If you kind of get my gist. Like, he made Nightmare Before Christmas, and he's still making Nightmare Before Christmas. It feels like.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I love his work. I don't think I've seen a Tim Burton film I didn't like. I'm just very aware of his style. And his style, apart from the black and white, is much more subtle here.
Yeah, I can actually think of one Tim Burton film I didn't like. The remake of Planet of the Apes. Didn't really care for it.
Did he direct that?
Yeah.
The one that came out in, like, early 2000s?
Yeah.
Oh, I liked that.
You did? Oh.
I was also 12, so fuck that I know.
I mean, I've not seen many Planet of the Apes movies, but that one just... I felt like... I saw the ending of the original one when I was really...
You blew it up! You damn dirty apes!
You bastards!
You blew it all up!
Yes, so That part, I remember. And I felt that was a really cool ending. Really iconic. But the whole, like, Lincoln Memorial gets
monkey
face.
Monkey face.
I felt that was more Kevin Smith than...
That does feel very Kevin Smith.
It was a Kevin Smith thing, actually. I don't know if you heard about that. In one of his Clerks comics, he included that as a joke. And then one of his friends who writes for, like, an entertainment section in either a newspaper... Yeah, it was a newspaper. Was like, hey, did you see this? This thing happened, and you did that comic that was like that? He was like, oh my god, you're right. And they were like, we should tell some people about this. And he was like, yeah, tell them I'm pissed and I'm suing Tim Burton.
You know, I feel like if Ed Wood had made it to today, I feel like he would have been our Kevin Smith. He almost would have been a Kevin Smith. Where it's kind of like Clerks, where enthusiasm trumped technical skill.
Yeah. Except Clerks was, like, really good.
Clerks gets better every time I watch it. Maybe it's because I keep getting older and more bitter, but Clerks gets better every time I watch it. But yeah, Ed Wood, definitely watch it. If you're a film geek, watch it. It can kind of be like, this is kind of like what's going to lead you down the rabbit hole for a lot of stuff, because they mention things like Plan 9, The Bride of the Monster, and then they talk about some actual, like, better films. Like, you know, there's Dracula, there's Frankenstein, they talk about Boris Karloff a little bit. Like, here, this is your primer for getting into older, like, older, like, indie cinema.
The Universal horror.
Yeah, like this. This is because, well, there's the more kind of fringe stuff that Wood did, but then there's also the more mainstream stuff that we did, like with Lugosi and Karloff and those Universal monster ones. This is going to be your springboard.
Yeah, definitely. So,
yeah.
Now let's talk about Dracula.
Then that brought us to Dracula, which was, you know what? I know it's older than dirt, but it still holds up really well.
So I actually I liked it as well, but I saw Nosferatu before I saw Dracula, and I think Nosferatu was better. But it could just be my taste in movies, because I thought Nosferatu just had this, since it was an old silent film before the days of technology and all that, it just felt very dreamlike to me.
It had more ambiance. There we go.
Yeah, and I actually have had nightmares with Nosferatu in them. Or no, his name is Count Orlok. That's right, with Count Orlok in them. But that movie was just so dreamlike and ethereal. I have never seen a movie that was like that. Until the Cabinet of Dr. Cagliostro, or whatever.
Cagliostro?
Yeah.
That's an Edgar Allan Poe adaptation, right?
It might be. I'm not sure. I just know what the movie is.
The gods of the internet have returned it to us, so we can actually check this out.
Okay, so Cabinet of Dr. Cagliostro. What that one is about is it's about a doctor that introduces a monster or something, and it's like, come see the great wonder, and then it turns out,
come see me botch the spelling in the internet search.
Well, I forget what it's about, but all I remember is that it's good, but Nosferatu is my favorite.
Well,
and Dracula, though, was very good.
One thing I thought was interesting, because I had like a little documentary for the film included in the package I got, and they talked about how Bela Lugosi had to learn all of his lines phonetically because his English was so weak.
Wow. So
he just sounded it out, and he had to just learn it by sound. He didn't actually know what he was saying, because he had a basic grasp of English, but it was great. I mean, I know we normally do like a spoiler-free summary of the film before we go into it, but it's Dracula. You know Dracula.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Dracula.
Like, Dracula gets young women to come to his castle, and then he drains their blood. And
then they do it.
Dr. Van Helsing.
Then they do it.
Dr. Van Helsing then stops Dracula somehow with a stake through the heart, or sunlight, or holy water, or garlic.
It was a stake through the heart.
Yeah, but like different
Oh
adaptations.
yeah, different adaptations. Yeah, like I thought I've seen the '90s adaptation too, the one with Keanu Reeves and
I haven't seen it. With but that does have jeez, I can't.
it's got
Gary Oldman.
It's got Gary Oldman's Dracula, but it also has Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's a movie about vampires, and he's not eating people. I'm a little put off by that, but it's still he's Anthony Hopkins. He's gonna turn in a good performance.
Right. So, I felt like Dracula, as more recently, I guess. So, apparently, in the 1950s, all these advertisers and marketing consultants realized that the best target audience for most things, I guess, most mainstream things, is like the teenagers 18 to 20 to 34 demographic.
Right, because they got money to burn.
Right. So that's around that time a lot of characters started getting younger and younger and younger. Whereas before that, they could be anything. Middle-aged, teenager, old.
They started skewing younger and younger.
Yeah. And in Dracula, no one was really looked all that young or seemed all that young. I mean, Van Helsing, you look at him...
Yeah, Van Helsing, he's consistently an old man.
No, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. We're not counting that movie.
No? Okay.
Okay, let me put if you're adapting specifically Dracula, Helsing is an old man.
Yeah, okay. Because that's the one I always think of.
Because I saw that, and once again, I liked it, but I was like 13, so I don't know whether or not it holds up, because I know everybody else hates it, and so I'm a little bit weary about how much it may or may not hold up.
I was the same way. I enjoyed it when I was 13, but that was because it was like Hugh Jackman fighting off
Wolverine
monsters.
was fighting vampires. You can't not like that movie when you're 13.
Exactly. Only bonus would be if it also included Spawn and the Punisher.
Oh, and some dinosaurs.
Yes.
Just no reason dinosaurs just make things better.
Yeah. So, like lately now, have you noticed that Dracula is no longer the handsome, older gentleman like Lugosi was, and now he's more like goth? Like, what's it? Dracula Rising? Is it more?
I did not see Dracula Rising.
Me neither, but I saw like what the guy looked like. He looks like, he's in his 20s or 30s, long black hair, goatee, never smiles. He would be much more fitting, slaying people and stabbing them all to death with his vampire powers than he would be like inviting a young woman to his castle for a drink.
Well, how fucking contrived was it that he, there's, what's his name? The main character, Harlock. I want to say Harlock? Harlow.
Yeah. Wait. You have the internet.
It's not working now. They said we had it now. The internet gods giveth, the internet gods taketh away.
Oh. So, well, either way, so that guy was,
Yeah, so he comes to the castle because he needs to do paperwork. And then Dracula catches wind like he's got a sexy fiancée. So Dracula packs himself up in a box and sails all the way to England, where he just kind of wreaks havoc across England to get this one girl to come back to his castle so he can make her into a vampire too.
Yeah. Then that was actually one of the things that carried over from Nosferatu, is that there was a guy that came to Count Orlok's castle to do paperwork, although if it were me, I would have been like, there is something seriously wrong with this guy's face.
Nope.
Yeah, he's got like the giant buck teeth, his eyes are all screwed up, he's got like screwed up ears, giant nose. Just super pale.
Just foreign. That's what they do when you're foreign.
Yeah, whereas Dracula actually looked like a human being.
Like young Bela Lugosi. He's a good looking man.
Yeah. and Count Orlok is just a monster. He's a literal monster.
Uh-huh. Well, I like how he does the thing with his hands where he's all double jointed. There's actually there's a little bit in Ed Wood where he's talking to Ed Wood about how he does the creepy hand thing, about how he can do it because he's double jointed. And even just getting back to Ed Wood for just a sec, I'm not entirely sure if that scene happened, but just watching Dracula on Halloween with the guy who played Dracula, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That's how you do Halloween.
Yeah, although we did get to go to Haunted House with the woman who wrote...
With Jill Thompson.
Yeah, Jill Thompson. The one who wrote
Scary Godmother, and then she did a bunch of other comics too, doesn't she?
Yeah, she
I'm
does.
blanking out, and I don't have the internet as backup memory.
She did a bunch of Sandman stuff. She did...
That's right, she was a Sandman illustrator.
Yeah, she also did... she did this really cool one. I can't remember the name right now, but she did a really cool one with Evan Dorkin, who...
Dorkman. Wait, no, wrong guy.
No, Dorkin is the one who did Welcome to Eltingville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
Eltingville
Comics Club.
The Eltingville Comics Club?
Yeah, he had a comic series called Dork, which was just a bunch of random little weird stories he has. But my favorite one, fan favorite, was the Eltingville Comics Club, which was about the worst scum of the earth fans you could possibly imagine.
People we actually know people like this too.
Yes, and he said it was actually based off of letters that some of his friends had received after writing like X-Men or Spider-Man or something, just like popular...
You can tell I'm the biggest fan of this thing because I hate it more than you do.
Exactly. And they were all like, you deserve to die for this.
Well, tell you what, we'll do Eltingville. We'll make that its own episode.
Yes.
We'll do Eltingville, and I think we gotta do Mission Hill at some point.
Yeah, actually, so I wanted to bring this up, but there was a Mission Hill Plan 9 sort of episode where they discovered a movie that one of the characters, Wally, made, and it was pretty much Plan 9 from outer space.
Well, it was actually a really sweet episode.
It was
where you find where it's... Well, we'll get more into it when we talk Mission Hill, because I could go on for about an hour about just this episode.
Yeah.
Basically, it's an animated cartoon, and it's meant as a comedy, but it's actually this really touching love story between these two men in the 50s.
Yeah. It was absolutely adorable. It was, just as you watch the movie, or the...
As you watch Ed Wood, yeah, because it's very obvious that that episode is taking a lot from Ed Wood.
Yeah.
But more like in a we love it kind of way.
Exactly.
More like a loving homage kind of way, and not in a, like, Elvira stealing vampire way.
Yeah, it wasn't in a facetious kind of way. I feel like a lot of Ed Wood's stuff nowadays is not making fun of it in like a mean, facetious sort of way. It's making fun of it, but also saying, and that's why Ed Wood was secretly brilliant.
Well, it's hard to hate the films because they're bad films. They're inarguably, by any metric, bad films.
Yeah.
But you can tell there's so much passion in what he was doing that it's impossible to truly hate the films.
And I don't know anyone that hates them, but I know there probably are people out there that hate them.
I'm sure it's people the thing is, the people who are watching them now who love them, we're tracking it down because we love that sort of thing to begin with.
Right.
Show that to like a mainstream audience, and they will, like, even now, they'll still ridicule it. In the 50s, they ridiculed it.
Yeah.
It was deemed one of the worst films ever made, and the only reason that it survives is because people like us who actively seek that sort of thing out because we're the lamest kind of masochist.
Yeah, I know there were I've met people that hated The Room and could not understand why people enjoyed it.
Right.
But it's just...
Yeah, we love
like
it.
That.
We love it because we're actively seeking that thing out because we are the weirdos.
Right. It'll let us love our weird stuff.
Mm-hmm. Let us love our very obviously toy bats on strings.
Exactly.
Yeah, apart from some of the special effects in Dracula, because I mean the plot holds up pretty well. The acting, Lugosi, he's still pretty good. Like, it's almost all presence. But damn it, does he nail it?
Yeah, I've watched a couple of old 50s horror movies that I really enjoyed. There was that one. There was also 50s and before.
I think this was 40s.
Yeah,
I want to say
40s.
Dracula was like 1948.
Yeah, like one Halloween, I decided to watch all these old horror movies. I saw Dracula, I saw The Wolfman, and I saw. I'm trying to think of some other one. Oh, I saw this one by a guy named Zedoka Shao, also known as Coffin Joe. I can't remember what the Portuguese title of it was, but it's like, I think the English title was something like "At Midnight I'll Eat Your Soul." It's very aggressive like that, and it's awesome. It's a Brazilian horror movie that has kind of a cult status here. Rob Zombie, I believe, has made an homage to this guy.
Well, what has Rob Zombie homaged? I mean, really.